What's up guys, it's Intelitech Studios here, and today will be the full review of the Hoover Linx Cordless, bagless, compact, rechargeable upright vacuum cleaner. Now this particular model is model number... Is it not on this? It actually might not be on this. Well, it appears the sticker is not on this machine. Maybe it's behind the dirt cup. And it is. So this particular Hoover is model number BH50010. So this particular machine is a cordless version of the Hoover Linx stick vac. Now, this machine has been around for quite a long time, and it tends to be a fan favorite among budget Hoover people who enjoy rechargeable, cordless, upright vacuums. And this one has been on the market for a very long time for a good reason, and it is a really good budget bagless rechargeable vacuum. So this particular model may look very familiar to some who are Hoover collectors, as this was previously known as the Hoover Platinum Collection Linx Cordless. It has the exact same style as the Platinum Collection series of vacuum cleaners from Hoover, including a canister, a bagged, and a bagless upright, and a few other machines as well. This one survived long after all those other machines have been discontinued, and simply has had the Platinum Connection name dropped, but you can tell it is the same style. Now there is a newer updated version of this that is all black, but otherwise is nearly identical, and that one is called the Hoover Linx Signature Edition. But these vacuums are identical to each other, and from what I can tell, there doesn't appear to be any real major differences, so everything that I say about this can also be contributed to that model as well. So, what is this thing? Well, I got this from Walmart on clearance for about $100. It was $99, and in fact, a while ago, my local Walmart actually had it discounted to about $60. Which I didn't buy another one because I already had this one and I didn't need an additional one, although I was tempted to, because that is a fantastic price for this. Now, what exactly does it offer? Well, it's just what you see here. It's a basic bagless upright. It's extremely lightweight, only about probably 5 to 8 pounds, give or take. Obviously, it's much lighter if you take out the battery. So once you take out the battery, this is probably about 5 pounds. Once you put in the battery, it's probably about 8 pounds, give or take. I haven't exactly weighed this. Well, maybe I could weigh it. Apologies for the dirty scale, this needs cleaned. But let's see how much this thing weighs. So, it's kind of hard to see it like that. So it looks like it weighs just about 8 pounds with the battery. And then if you take the battery out, it should get lighter. And that's, about the same. So about 8 pounds for this thing with the battery. One thing I like about this battery is that it actually has an external charging dock that you can use separately to charge the battery outside of the machine. So that is definitely very nice. It has this little slot that clips in, another little slot right here that clips into the dock, and this nice little release latch that makes it very easy to pull out the battery from the front of the unit. So that way, if you're storing this for a long period of time, or if you want to just have an extra battery on hand so you can keep one in your machine while you're always charging one, that is a nice option. So with the power of editing, I will make this scale disappear and turn into that aforementioned battery charger. Oh, there it is. So, this aforementioned charger has a nice little slot right here with the Hoover branding, nicely ventilated, so you can just take the battery out from the Linx and place it into the charger like so. It has a decently long cord on it, although as you can see, I've always had it near an outlet, so I never really had a need to unwrap the cable. But we can see, very basic polarized plug, as you'd expect. Once you set it on a donut box of your choosing, you can take the cable and plug it into the outlet, and you can see there is a flashing blue light that indicates that the device is in fact charging. You also have the same quick release mechanism, although since there isn't as much weight on this adapter, you do have to kind of pull it off a little bit more strongly in order to get it out of the dock, and then it just slips right into the front of the cleaner, assuming you don't knock it over. like I'm about to do. Easier to do with one hand. I think I got that right. Yep. You can tell when it's locked in. After a while, it tends to not make the same sort of click that it usually does, but you can definitely feel whenever it is inserted into the vacuum. And we can also see that there are LED lights right here to show whenever we turn it on what the battery capacity is actually at. So we can see right now that our battery is at approximately 66% capacity. Obviously, this is a 3-bar system, so basically, 25, or not 25, basically like, 33, 66, 99%. And that can basically tell you how much your battery has, at least give you a rough estimate. Now, some people will ask, well, how good is the battery life on this? And the truth is, I haven't cleaned long enough for the battery life to go out on it yet. So the battery life is pretty good. Now, I've used this thing to clean my entire house, both my dad's house and my new house, and the battery has not died during one section whenever I started it with the whole battery. Or did I say section? I meant session. So I have not been able to kill this thing in a session of cleaning my entire house. If you have a bigger house, or perhaps if you're running it on the carpet mode and the brush is spinning the entire time, the battery life may go down. And obviously, as with any lithium-ion battery, as the battery gets more and more use over time, the battery life will degrade. Very similar to a cell phone or a laptop, the battery will eventually degrade. But the nice thing is this machine has a removable battery, and you can order a replacement very easily. And even if your battery is running out, you can grab another one to keep in your charger, so that way you always have a juiced-up battery on hand. If you want to use this machine, all you got to do is just put your foot on the front of it to recline it back. Or what I like to do is if I'm in a hurry, I'll just do that and it will pop right down. Usually it's more smooth than that. But if you want to do that, just kind of bang it on the floor and it will pop down. That's probably not the best for long-term durability, but hey, it feels like you're unleashing a weapon. There we go. It does have a very minuscule amount of swivel steering, although honestly, I would prefer if the swivel steering wasn't there, as it appears to just cause more issues since the range of swivel steering is some of the narrowest that I've seen. The purpose of it is, pretty useless. There's not really a point to it having swivel steering, but I mean, I guess some is better than nothing, although in this case, it's exactly as good as nothing. But it does swivel, but not any significant amount. You can see if I'm trying to twist around this sock, for example, that's as far as it'll go. I can't actually do a full turn unless I'm turning my body, and that kind of defeats the purpose of having a swivel neck. If I'm trying to go around this pillow, again, you can swivel a little bit, so if you're kind of cleaning like that, you can be okay, but it's not perfect by any means. So we also have touch controls right up here at the top. We can see the 0, the 1, and the 2, and there are also corresponding lights to tell you what is happening, so it's very user-friendly. If we turn it on the 1 setting, we can see the suction only is activated, and you can tell that the brush is not spinning on the 1 position. When we put it on the 2 position, we can see the suction plus brush roll light will light up, indicating that the brush roll is on for carpets and rugs. And there I just demonstrated the difference between the two modes. You can hear the very subtle difference whenever the brush is turning. And another thing is that the brush does turn whenever you put in the carpet mode, regardless of what position it's in. So for some vacuums that would be a problem if you're trying to use onboard tools and the brush maintains the spinach, but, not spinach, spinach. But, number one, you can just put it in the floor mode, and number two, there's no onboard tools anyways, so that point is relatively useless. But, again, if you are leaving it standing up while you're moving something, you may want to put it in the 1 position if you have it on a delicate rug that it could suck up and potentially cause damage, or if it's around like a blanket or something that it could pull in. If you're putting this upright and leaving it on because you want to move something real quick, you could just put it in the 1 position. But then again, if you're going to do that, you might as well just turn it off and save the battery. Move whatever it is you need to move before you can vacuum underneath it. And speaking of moving what you need to move to vacuum underneath stuff, As far as its ability to get underneath furniture, this does pretty okay. Once you get to about this position, that's when the front head actually lifts off of the ground, so you can't get anything lower than that. And considering it's a bagless machine, in the first place, you're already not going to have the best amount of reach, but you can at least get underneath stuff. Like, for example, if I want to get underneath the legs of this desk, I can do that just fine. So as you can see, if I'm trying to get underneath that desk or in the sort of crack underneath that chair, it will do that. But if you want to try to get underneath a bed that's higher up than this base itself, then you're not going to be able to go very far in to clean, because the sort of body of this will not go very flat. It'll go flatter than most upright vacuums, especially when comparing it to other bagless upright vacuums like the ones that you would typically see, but it is still not perfect. But again, for the price, it still does get underneath things pretty well, and about what I would expect it to. Since I mentioned the floor performance and the ability for the brush roll to shut off, let's check out the bottom base assembly and see what we're working with. We actually have a little wind tunnel section right here with a gate that opens up like this, so that way if you're trying to vacuum up larger debris off of any sort of hard surface where the carpet doesn't have doesn't have a give to it like carpet does, where the floor, I should say, doesn't have give to it like carpet does. It does have a little gate, so that way large debris that you're trying to vacuum up can go in through that center gate, as long as whatever it is you're trying to vacuum up is centered. So that, combined with the fact that you can shut off the brush roll to not spit up any debris, that makes it pretty good for hard floors. Although the brush is soft enough to where certain things that are hard to pick up off of floors, you could get away with turning the brush on. It really just depends on whatever it is you're vacuuming up specifically, and as long as you're not on like a wood floor that's expensive that you're worried about scratching, then you can turn on the brush if you want to get a little bit more sort of sweeping action. Otherwise, what we're working with is basically a pretty decent brush roll. I have cleaned this off once before in my ownership, but I haven't cleaned it off since then. And we can see it does accumulate a decent amount of hair, and these bristles are very, very soft. So again, you can leave this on a floor and it's not going to damage your floors. It also means that it's not going to do any sort of deep cleaning on carpets. So this is not a carpet deep cleaner. If you have a really soft or really thin area rug, it could do pretty well. But for any sort of plush pile carpet like this, this is for surface dirt only. You would not want to use this as your main vacuum, as there would be a lot of dirt that you would be missing. You would want a full-size upright vacuum to supplement this machine in order to get deep down dirt and do bigger sort of, daily or weekly house cleaning efforts. This does do great on things like couches and stuff and stairs, where, again, if they have either floors or really thin materials where there's not a lot of deep cleaning involved, this does very well because it's lightweight and it's easy to use on those surfaces. But for anything else, you're really going to want a full-size upright. If you want a Hoover upright to match, I would recommend something like the Elite Rewind Plus if you want something that's about the price of what this is for a full-size bagless upright. Or Hoover has plenty of other great machines as well, like the Tempo bagged vacuum. Those are really good as well. It really just depends on what you're into. Hoover generally has a very solid track record, and there are other machines that I recommend as well that can go alongside this for a supplementation of a full-size machine. But if we're just talking about this, this does good at what it's designed to do. It has rubber-coated wheels, so again, it will protect your floors if you have any sort of delicate floors. So with that and the soft roller that you can engage if you want to or if you don't, this treats your floors very, very well. All these wheels are rubber. It has a nice felt strip along the bottom here and brushes on the side, so you don't have to worry about this scratching your floors. If that's been an issue with full-size uprights in the past that don't have brush roll shutoffs, you will not have that problem with this machine. And obviously, this brush roller is very thin and very sort of open. There's not really any like teeth that go along the brush, so it's very easy to just stick your fingers in here and pick out any sort of hair that you see that's been built up on the brush, which you do want to do. I would say if you use this on a semi-regular basis, I would say at least once a month you want to kind of clean this out. What I would say is, if you're not a fan of cleaning out your brush roll, just do this right before you vacuum with your main vacuum. That way you can use the hose of your main vacuum to suck up everything that you pulled off this brush and, set in one spot on the floor. So that way it all kind of circles back together and you don't have to worry about having to actually throw some of this stuff away. You can just suck it up in your main vacuum. Because obviously this is the kind of stuff where you don't want to suck it up with the brush because it will likely just get tangled around it unless it's a machine with an anti-tangle system. This does not have that, so it will tangle stuff around the brush if you're picking up a lot of hair with this, but it is easy to clean out, and it's not as bad as I've seen some other machines in this price range or in this style. So that's definitely good. Also, since it has this little wind tunnel system followed by this black plastic, this does tend to track a lot of dust, but this is easy enough to wipe off with a damp cloth or a disinfecting wipe, and you can also wipe off the sides. As you can tell, I got a nice little paint scuff right on the side, so I'll be able to take that off with a scrubby sponge, and that'll come right off. I'll do that in the next frame, so you'll see what the aftermath of that is like. And the edge cleaning on this is pretty okay. But again, generally, it's not the best with edge cleaning. It's really kind of hit or miss. So if you're trying to do like floors or something, I would just kind of vacuum it straight on, since again, it does have that little gate on the front to pick up any sort of debris that it may otherwise miss. So as you can see, all I did was I just took the abrasive side of a kitchen sponge along with some antibacterial cleaning solution, spray cleaner, sprayed that onto the sponge, and worked it onto this, and I was able to wipe off that paint mark very easily. So you can get both the sponges and the Comet solution that I use at Dollar Tree, and obviously you can get more expensive versions of that solution at other stores as well. And if you get any paint marks on the side of this machine or scratches, you can work those off very easily as well and make this thing look like new and stay looking nice. Now, beyond scratches, there's not really any other parts that you should really have to worry about as far as wear, other than obviously the battery, because any device with the battery can wear out. But again, that's easily removable, so I wouldn't even really consider that a wear part, since if it does break, you just get a new battery, and there's nothing you have to take apart. So, the only real maintenance you have to do on this machine is, as you can see, there is a dirt cup with a cyclone assembly. And we can see there is a bottom latch that you clip, or that you click, and then the bottom flap comes undone. This little cyclone piece that's in here, you can see there's a little notch right there inside. If you twist that just a little bit, you can pull this red piece out, and if there's anything that's stuck in this little cone section, that can pull out easily. Or if you want to wash this red piece, in case there's anything blocking the shroud right here, you can clean that up as well and get this thing looking new. Or if there's anything stuck up here, which does tend to happen frequently if you use this for bigger messes, stuff will get stuck up here. If you twist this red piece and pull it out, it will clean up very, very easily, and everything will fall right out once you dump the bottom of this. So the only real thing that you have to worry about is there's this little filter in here. You can see there's this little black piece that you just lift straight out, and there's this little filter in here. Now, I've never washed this filter before in the entire time that I've owned this, and you can definitely tell, because that is what it looks like if you use this thing for about 6 months and don't ever wash the filter. So this is a pretty bad example of what this filter looks like. This filter is supposed to be this color, this like yellowish color, basically like a sponge. But you can just rinse this filter underneath cold or warm water with whatever soap or detergent you would like, but nothing too harsh. Let this dry for about 2 days and then put it back in, and you'll have a clean, fresh filter and a clean, fully working vacuum with full suction. Now, the only other thing that could potentially cause you to lose suction, other than this being full or that filter being dirty, is if there is a blockage somewhere in the machine. Now, there's this little button right here, and if you push this, it's kind of hard to do with one hand, and the vacuum just hit me, but if you press this button, then you can pull off the base. I'm going to have to do this off camera, but you can pull off this base and access both this and this separately, so you can get to any clogs or blockages that you otherwise will not be able to clear, and clear them as necessary to restore suction and performance. So as we can see off camera, I push this button, and you can see there's this little latch right here. You just pull this top piece straight off, and that works as well. I would also recommend, whenever you do this, definitely take out your battery and turn the machine off first and foremost. And at this point, you can check any sort of blockages anywhere. There likely won't be any blockages, but if there are, you can just take another vacuum cleaner and stick it on the end of either of these, and the suction on that will likely be strong enough to pull it straight through, and you shouldn't have any issues after that. because again, you should have a full-size vacuum alongside this anyways. And then whenever you pull this out, you can look in there and see if there's anything blocking the airway. And again, just stick a vacuum off on the end of this and you'll be able to clear that out no problem and get your machine back up and running. And then if you want to put this back together, just clip this to the upright position, and this kind of goes in at an angle, but you can kind of figure it out once you line it up. See, it clips in just like that. Again, the clicking mechanism might not sound as clicky as it usually does, but you can tell whenever it's solid and on there. It's pretty easy to figure out. Then here is also the diagram explaining how to clean up the filter. So you see that right there, there is some dirt on my model that has escaped this, so we can always wipe all this off with a sponge or a damp cloth to get this all clean and get it back to fully pristine condition. And as you can see, the instructions instruct you to clean this premotor filter about once a month if you are a heavy user, and if you're a very light user, then I would recommend cleaning this probably every month or two, depending on how often you use it. Obviously, you're free to pull this out whenever you want and judge for yourself whether or not it looks clean enough or dirty enough to warrant a wash. But obviously, if you have a loss in performance or it's hit the 2-month period and you've been using it at least somewhat steadily, then definitely wash out this filter and let it dry thoroughly before putting it back in the machine. Now, since I'm lazy, I'm just going to wipe the dirt on the carpet since I'm going to use another vacuum anyways, and that immediately cleans that up. So, yeah, if you want to be super lazy about it and you have another machine, you could just rub it on the carpet and then vacuum that up with another machine if you're in a pinch. But obviously, that won't get it as clean as actually washing it. And even if you do decide to do that kind of a quick method of trying to get it clean and also getting dirt on your carpet, then be sure to wash this at least every 3 months so it does get a complete clean, and more importantly gets all the dust out of it so that dust doesn't get to the other side and get drawn into the motor. Because this exhaust has no HEPA filtration and there is no sealed system on this. So if you have allergies and you are susceptible to any sort of complications with dust and you're very sensitive to dust, then you could still probably get away with this machine, but just be warned that you won't want to use it for very long periods or for very big messes, especially because there is no sealed system, there is no HEPA filtration. So if you do end up letting dust get past this filter because you didn't maintain it, that dust will likely be spewing back into the air. But the good news is, even after me leaving it for a long time with no maintenance, nothing has gotten past this filter besides just basic air and obviously motor carbons coming off of the motor. So my experience has been good with this, but again, your mileage may vary. So we're going to put this back together, and once you need to put the filter back in, again, this is slanted, so it's pretty easy to just line it up and pop it right in. Only goes in one way. You can see it's flush. Pretty simple, it'd be pretty hard to screw that up, because even if you tried to put it in the other way, well, that's obviously not going to work. So, oh, and I've just popped the filter out. So that's my bad. But if you want to put the filter back in, you want the cleaner side. If you washed it, both sides should be clean. But if you're doing what I'm doing, which is the wrong way to do it, and just putting it straight back into the machine, then again, put it back with the dirtier side facing down, since that's the exhaust for the dirt cup. Put it back in like this. There's a little notch right here. Line that up with the base of the machine. Again, you'll feel it whenever it goes in, and then just snap it with this clip into place into the machine. Again, you may have to actually push the button and push it back in so it lines up correctly, but you can see now it's very firm on there, and it's not going anywhere. So now that we can take the battery and put it back in without knocking this over. Let's see, can I stand on it and put that in? There we go. You hear that click. And then now we can suck up the dust that I just pulled off of this thing. So I think I've said everything that there is to say about the Hoover Linx, I just bit my tongue, about the Hoover Linx Cordless, bagless, rechargeable, upright vacuum cleaner. Model, whatever it is I said was on the sticker earlier. So, hopefully I mentioned everything that you would want to know about this machine. If there's anything I missed, please drop a comment below and I'll be sure to answer those questions. But hopefully this was the most in-depth review on this machine that exists, and if not, well, I failed at my job. Anyways, if you found this video helpful and you've decided to pick up this machine, then definitely leave a like on this video and subscribe. I normally don't bug people to subscribe, but like all YouTube channels, a very small portion of people who watch the videos are actually subscribed. So if you do subscribe, that would help out the channel a lot. And also, if you found this helpful and you actually bought one, let me know what you think about it, again, in the comments below. So, in case you couldn't tell from the video, do I recommend this? Absolutely. Now, generally, these are about $100 to $120, and for that price, it's still really solid, and I definitely recommend one. And if you can find it for any cheaper than that, then definitely go for it. Just keep in mind that if you do buy it used, you want to make sure that filter is clean, make sure the brush is clean, and check that battery to make sure it has proper battery life on it. Again, I'm sorry that I don't have actual like battery life numbers as far as, you know, how long this battery lasts nominally, but I'll likely try to do that again and actually try to kill this thing. Again, I've used it, you know, for entire house cleanings and it didn't die, but I'll try to use it again and keep tabs of how many minutes I've been using it, and if I can find a proper number that's consistent as far as battery life, then I may update the description accordingly if you are concerned about actual numbers. But again, the battery life shouldn't be an issue. If you keep it on the charger or keep the battery charged, and assuming the battery isn't worn down, you will not have any issues with that whatsoever through any normal cleaning jobs. So, anyway guys, this is Intelitech Studios signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed the review of the Hoover Linx Cordless Rechargeable Stick Vacuum from Hoover. I said Hoover twice. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.